Happy Saturday, and welcome to the Ram Ashram Satsang Weekend Workshop, where you'll learn a modern Satsang method for obtaining peace, light, and love in your life. My name is Eddie, and I will be introducing the facilitator for today's event. But first, I'd like to give you a brief overview of this weekend workshop. If you'll direct your attention towards the screen, you'll see the first element is Satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our life. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin its practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important part of Satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw consciousness from worldly objects and direct it inwards to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, thereby allowing us to obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of Satsang, inner Satsang and outer Satsang. An example of outer Satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer Satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior, but only through the practice of inner Satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The Satsang that you will learn today is an inner Satsang where we meditate in silence. Group session. These weekend workshops are structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our personal progress along our spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these weekend workshops, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul. But only through the practice of inner Satsang can we obtain a joyous state. Each time we practice Satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a state of joy, which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The agenda for today consists of 3 sessions: the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, a lecture will be given about a Satsang topic, the founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, you'll receive instructions on how to meditate, followed by a period of practice. During the interactive session, you have the opportunity to ask questions, or there'll be a panel discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of Satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj, the founder of Ram Ashram Satsang. He was born into a Satsang family where he experienced his family members obtain states of enlightenment and lead lives of peace, light, and love. At an early age, he began traveling with the mission throughout India, facilitating Satsangs. And during that time, he witnessed the positive effects that Satsang could have on mankind. And upon arriving to the United States, both he and his wife continued to facilitate Satsangs for local Satsangees. He has led teams of Satsang members in translating important Satsang literature into English and has worked tirelessly to make Satsang more accessible to Western and English-speaking audiences. He currently travels throughout the United States, India, and England, facilitating Satsangs while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of Satsang as taught by Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji.
Happy Saturday, everyone. And thanks, Eddie, for providing the overview and, some of the things that make up satsang. It's not just meditation, it's the group sessions, the group energy, and it's inner satsang, so it becomes different than a lot of other meditative practices in that way. Today I'm in slightly different mode. One of my longtime friends has started a podcast, Wellness for 100. And he, for some reason, invited me to talk. And that's on my mind. You know, and lately there have been a lot of studies, and even PBS and Netflix have a few series where they are talking about, you know, what lifestyle choices and what do these people who live beyond 100 do differently. And you know, so so genes, environment, and behaviors. And I think we can't do much about our genes, but you know, the studies are showing that about 20%, so genes are very important, about 20% is decided by that. And especially if you hit 90 and above, genes become even more important. But then comes the environment and behaviors. On the environments, there is a National Geographic project, Blue Zones. They studied these blue zones where people have a much higher probability of living longer. And they have looked at, you know, various aspects of, you know, what makes these blue zones healthier places to live. And interestingly, things that come out, healthy choices, and somehow what they're saying is, like, in those areas, if you live there, a healthy choice is an easy choice. And they're saying that not necessarily those people are more self-disciplined or they have better self-control. It's just the way it is structured, that you know, eating wisely, moving naturally, connecting with others, like surrounding yourself with the right people, and having a purpose. All that basically constitutes their being, you know, their longevity. And so Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, and Nicoya in Costa Rica, and then Loma Linda in California. I was, you know, thinking about these things, and interestingly, it's like, you know, if you look at some of the other studies, you know, good night's sleep, staying healthy, you know, long-term meaningful relationships, and that, I think, is a Harvard study found that, you know, having meaningful long-term relationships, that was one factor they found that you know, helps better aging. I also feel that, this is also very connected to this whole aspect of keeping our brains active, staying mentally active, never stop learning. So that reduces cognitive decline and risk of dementia. A Harvard study talks about that. Challenging your brain with mental exercise is to it's that helps maintain individuals' brain cells and stimulates communication among them. And somewhere else, I had studied that when you socially interact, that also is a very interesting, it's also learning, and it's there is this psychological activity that happens, and all this then boils down to satsang to me. It's like satsang has this group or family aspect to it. When you have, especially in India, this particular way of meditating and achieving higher consciousness has been in practice for almost 100 years now. And so my grandfather started this, and it was a very, it's like meditation, which is in a way a mental exercise. In a way, it is creating a backdrop for a support system and relationships that are positive. And this should, improve heart health, immune system, and so on and so forth. I think the question always comes down to, what are we really doing? Are we practicing in the way this was really pulled together? The aspects of imbibing positive energy every day, refreshing that repository within you all the time. So interestingly, there was another study I was looking at, is that there was this study on association of optimism with cardiovascular events. And there's also another proceedings of National Academy of Sciences, and that says like high level of optimism is related to living longer, 50% greater chance of women to hit 85 and 70% greater chance for men to hit 85. But anyway, I mean, if I go back to some of what my grandfather has written in his a book on spiritual journey, he talks about the quality versus quantity also. It's the sense of purpose, more giving, all that, ought to be part of that as well. But this study on optimism talks about consciously reframing every situation in positive light. So if you are imbibing positive light every day, that should give you that. So while it says that many emotions can pulse through social networks, and they do. And negativity is more contagious than sometimes we think, but so can be positive, positivity and positive energy. So, as over the last weekend, we were, I think one of the things that came out was be the light. And so for ourselves, our own good, as well as, people around us, be the light, because that helps. And yeah, we can go on and on, but I think choosing and making the right choices also requires inner strength, which again, I kind of tend to think this is like a Swiss Army knife, this meditative practice that we will now get into. It's like it helps in so many different ways to get to that goal of, getting a sense of purpose, connecting with people in positive light, becoming more optimistic, sleeping well, and so on and so forth. So anyway, so now let's get into practice, or let's practice it, because every time you imbibe this positive energy, you are changing the course of your thought processes, which then impact you internally and then your external environment. So thank you, Yuan, for so I refer to this practice sometimes as inner yoga because it emphasizes Ashtanga yoga, which has 8 limbs. The 4 limbs of that practice, which was elaborated by Maharishi Patanjali, one of the masters of yoga philosophy. These 4 limbs, inward orientation and concentration, is where you start, and then you get into deep meditation, and that leads to higher consciousness. So to help inward orientation and concentration, what we do is sit in a relaxed posture. So first thing is like to help concentration of the mind and inward orientation. What we do is eyes lightly closed and sit in a relaxed posture. So those 2 things help. Every time your body moves during meditation, your mind moves with it. So we want to concentrate it. So, still posture is important. And then inward orientation, eyes lightly closed. Another aspect of inward orientation is like when we want to concentrate, so what we are concentrating on, our object of concentration here is transcendental energy, positive energy. So it's here, now, with us, in front of us, in form of light, and that light is entering our heart, enlightening our heart, distributing throughout our body. So we are becoming this energy, this light. And so be the light. So that's the only thing we do during this practice. Everything else that helps you in concentration, or you do other types of meditation, you can do before or after. This process would help you get to a better, level of concentration even in other practices, even in normal things, you would get better concentration. So again, eyes lightly closed, still posture. And now let's manifest this transcendental energy in form of light. So imagine that it's right here, right now. Connect to it, feel it. And this energy in form of light is entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we're becoming one with this light. So we are, in a way, we're just observing this light entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and that we are getting totally immersed in it. So another process to help the concentration is that we'll transition in with music. Then music fades away and we go into deeper silent meditation, as Eddie was describing, and then we'll transition out with music. Let's start now. Happy Saturday, everyone. So Eddie, you want to, and hi, Warren. Nice to see you here. So Eddie, you want to add anything to what we were discussing?
Yes. The secret to immortality has been something we on Earth have been searching for right since the beginning of time. And so we engage in various practices, meditation, Tai Chi martial arts, and certainly Satsang. And the thing is that if you want to live a long life here on Earth, the goal is not so much different than that for achieving immortality, or what we might call salvation. And that is simply to be with the light, as you said earlier, and to let that light, when you're here on Earth, is to let that light manifest through you uninterrupted. And so by coming here in Satsang, we actually do practice that, right? When we're here, we are one with the light. And if you notice, we sort of behave in that manner as well, meaning that our personalities tend to orient. Well, we're not perfect beings, but our personalities tend to be oriented towards more towards the light. The thoughts, basically, that we have in the external world, we put those aside, right? And we focus on the light. That's part of the practice. We remain still. We don't create negative karma for ourselves. So all of these things that we do in satsang are actually things that we should implement once we leave here. Because what this satsang session does for us is it gives us the structure of how we should live our lives. As you break down each and every single part of it, it tells us the structure of how we should live our lives, how we should behave in accordance with the light. And in doing so, we'll be healthy and we'll lead long lives here in the physical world, but we'll also be working towards immortality or salvation. So, what you said, about the people wanting to live a long life, it rings true for all of us here today in Satsang. That's really what we're trying to achieve here as well.
So, so one of the things that like if I was if I had the moment of light bulb going on, that was like one thing that when I was trying to prepare for a talk on inner peace, one of the chapters on inner peace from my grandfather's book, what I realized was that, peace, the opposite of peace is worry and anxiety, or the biggest challenge or the biggest, hurdle to peace is worry and anxiety. And then he talks about multiple ways of how you tackle, and there were two things that he boils it down to eventually. And one was that, you worry because you're going into the past or the future of how things could be, would be, it's as we were talking about in context of optimism, is like negativity is contagious, and once you mind gets attached to something negative, it just blows it up out of proportions. So by this practice or anything else, if we can figure out, and it's very uncommon, so if we can figure out how to be in the current moment, so that is one. And And then there was one liner in that chapter, which was like, so it's the mind and it's the thoughts that are causing this. So if we make our mind still, and if we somehow, it almost feels like there should be some magic to get there, but if somehow we can make our mind devoid of thoughts, then it is essentially devoid of worry and anxiety. So that was like, you don't have to read books, you don't have to do anything if you just do this practice right. And that is quote unquote, you would be in that state, at least for that moment in time during meditation. And Eddie, as you're saying, I think eventually that kind of moves into other parts, other aspects of life. And yeah. And the other thing that it's almost has become a visual with me is we haven't talked about the pyramid, the 5 steps to nirvana lately, but the 4th and the 5th step are the key. So if you are vertically ascending through your meditation towards higher consciousness, first you find light. So be the light is not just a tagline. It actually is a hardwired state of your brain where through meditation, through imbibing this positive energy, imbibing this transcendental light, you get to a point where wisdom, the inner voice, the intuitive knowledge appears in a very, like it just a point in which, and Guru Maharaj talks about it in his book, multiple places, that this light is essentially knowledge. That knowledge, so in the light you see, and that clarity has to come. So first that happens. So first the light comes, the knowledge dawns. Then you understand your, place, or so that gyan essentially is that I am not a bubble on top of this ocean, I am the ocean. And once you realize that you are, integral part of this consciousness, then all other conscious beings you relate to in a very, very, very different way. And that's love. That's pure, true, selfless, unconditional love. And once you achieve that, that's when joy of, which is not tied to material things appears. So it's the light, love, and joy. When they exist, that's when inner peace in real sense appears. Or, that's what we are referring to peace here. We're not referring to a fleeting glimpse of peace. So any...
Good evening. Good evening, Sandeep sir. My name is Vikas.
Yeah.
I have one simple small query, sir, in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
If highly emotional person highly emotional person, how can he be positive in life? Because whenever he saw someone, or some person is sad, he, immediately he also sad because he is highly emotional person. So it is very difficult for the highly emotional person to be positive, to be fearless, uh, because he love his family, he love near and
Yeah,
dear.
yeah. No, I got your question. It's um, and uh, essentially, devotion, bhakti, Raj Yoga are also based on a positive, strong, and a very singularly focused emotion. The problem is that the company we keep, the people so company we keep should be satsang. Satsang is the company of this transcendental energy. Until and unless we realize that the fleeting world is ever changing. That's its nature. That's what world is. We always want to connect to something that is almost like permanent. And we think this world is permanent. And that is where our emotions, our devotions, uh, our focus, our attention is, on something that keeps changing. And that is why we don't get this light, love, joy, and peace. So if we want to change our destiny from, yes, being emotional is not bad at all, but how what are we connecting our emotions to matters. And the entire path of bhakti and devotion is absolutely and purely about transcending this world. Connect to something that doesn't change. Sat Chit Anand is our natural state, where realizing that you're not. So if we're not the bubble which just exists for we are the ocean, and we are like Carl Sagan would say, it's like we are made of star stuff. We are. So the consciousness in its collective sense is forever. And we are part of that consciousness. Once we have to realize that is the Sat part of Satchidanand as a state of being enlightened being. Chit is when my emotions are like the surface of the ocean. The ocean has all these huge waves coming, and there is turbulence, and there is no peace in sight. But the same ocean, when you go deep and more deep and more deep, it's like through meditation, you go in the mind, which has all these waves above, you go deeper into the subconscious and unconscious mind, and reach to the point where there is no such turbulence, then that's Chit. So Sat, Chit, Anand, and that leads to joy. So Anand agar chahiye, to you have to Sat, Chit, Anand, basically. So that is our natural state. That is where we ought to be. So tie your emotions to something that never changes, that is deep rooted within ourselves. And so it's not outside, it's within us. So connect with that energy.
Thanks, sir. Sir, have a faith on someone is directly proportional to the positivity.
Say this again.
Faith on someone
Mm-hmm.
is directly proportional to the positivity. If if someone have a faith that some energy or some thing is there uh, for me, if he hold me in a difficult time, maybe
Yeah,
help.
see, when I was reading about inner peace and the chapter that Guru Maharaj has written, he talked about multiple ways in which we can get to deeper connection, deeper level, and deeper consistency of peace. One of them is that if you have faith, if you connect your consciousness with what you believe in, and you feel that that belief is keeping you safe, alive, and and in every way is taking care of you, then that would give you this level of safety and comfort. So yeah, your faith has a whole lot to do with how you feel. And one of the problems today is that we are losing the connection with our own belief, and that I think faith and belief gives you this ability to it's almost like to me, I translate that into this: every system of belief is believing in this transcendental energy. This transcendental energy gives me strength, inner strength, that gives me light, that gives me love, that gives me joy. That connection is real, and I am part of that consciousness. So to me, all religions, all belief systems eventually just boil down to this concept of transcendental energy. But believing is essential for us, because to me, like I think about this transcendental energy, which I imbibe, which is within me, but is also a shield. So it's a positive shield to keep the negative energies and negative forces away from me. So, it's a safety shield too.
Thanks, sir.
Sure thing. All right. Any other comments, thoughts, questions before we wrap up for today? All right. So So have a great week ahead. Light, love, and joy and peace will be with you. See you soon.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji.
No,
Have a good
take care.
Namaste, Bhaiya ji.
Namaskar.